Well, good morning. We're back here at the lake and we are going to take a stroll. And what I mean by that is we're going to use a type of bait that is going to be called a strolling bait. I'll show you how to set it up, and we're going to go ahead and cast it out a couple times and see if we can't bring back a bass. So basically, if you want to go out fishing and your wife's kind of against it, just let her know you're just going to go out for a stroll. So here are some of the items that you're going to need to do some strolling. Any kind of jig head that has a eyelet on the very top of the jig. You can really go with any weights. You don't want to go too heavy on this. And then what you're going to do with the plastic is you're going to go with any kind of non-swim bait. So basically your split tails, your straight tails. We don't want this setup to have a paddle tail. We don't want it to do a lot of movement in the water. We just want it to kind of jiggle around. So these are the type of things that you're going to be using. Here are the 3 jig setups that I'm going to be going with, and these are going to be strolling type baits. So basically what we want to do here is you want to make sure that you don't get a paddle tail. So these all have split tails here. 3 different setups, basically going from our largest setup down to our smallest. And we're going to show you the technique to see if we can't bring in a fish with the technique that we're going to be using with a strolling bait. Okay, so there's really no trick into setting these up. You're going to hook these up just like you would normally hook up any kind of jig style bait. This one has a nice Christmassy colory look, doesn't it? So that's that set up. Here is our heavier setup. Now this has a pretty heavy line on it, and we're going to get this last one set up here. You may or may have not noticed that there is a theme here. I'm going with baits that are bicolored. And what we want those bicolors to do is when we pull this through the water, this is going to kind of shift back and forth like this. So we want those colors to be flipping. Okay, I decided to start middle of the road here. We're going to start off with the medium size and then work our way around here. I thought this would be a good start. This way we're not too light, we're not too heavy, and we can kind of feel it out. Okay, so the rod you want to use here is going to be a spinning rod. I'm using a medium power rod here. This happens to be a Bass X with a Shimano reel. And basically what we're going to do is when we cast, we're going to cast our bait in. We're going to let that bait fall to the ground. And once it does, we're going to pop it up. And then we're going to just slowly retrieve it in. And as we retrieve it in, we're just going to wiggle our rod a little bit. And that's going to give these baits this appearance. So if you see that jumping around, and I hardly am moving it around, you can see that tail is going to wobble around. And as we're jerking it around, you're going to get this kind of flipping action like this. And it's going to stay nice and tight. And that's why we don't want to go with the paddle tail. We want to go with a split tail like this. And that split tail or straight tail is going to allow this bait to just kind of stay nice and tight. And we're going to just slowly bring that in. So we're going to start off with this medium sized and then work our way back. All right, we're going to start off the dock to get started here. And then we'll make our way down this fishing line right here. We do have another fellow here fishing today. Nice guy. I've seen him here many times. He's got a dog that just kind of hangs around with him the entire time. And the dog must love fishing too. First cast with this type of rig. Just gonna let that get to the bottom. We're gonna pop it up. And then what we want to do is we just want to kind of, as we're reeling it in, we're just going to kind of throw a little wiggle to our rod. I can feel myself going through those weeds a little bit. Kind of feeling them tear through a little. And the idea of this is As I'm pulling that through, my lure is flapping back and forth, like tilting, kind of just doing this little dance as it comes back in. We did get into a little bit of weed factor there. The idea too is you definitely want to go with an eyelet on the top. You want a 90-degree eyelet. That's going to be a little better. This way you can get it up and over. This is a good dock or bank setup, because basically what we're going to try to do here is we're going to try to hover over the weed factor, and it's subtle. I am seeing a couple breaks, guys, so this could be a good thing. We don't want that thing swinging around. We want that to stay nice and tight, and that's really kind of the trick here, is to try to keep your baits moving but not erratic. So we're not very deep here, so probably the maximum depth of this lake is about 8 feet. So I'm finding that keeping my tip up is keeping me above those weeds. When I reel back in from the side, I'm not having the success as far as staying out of those weeds. This is tough. This is tiring. So basically, here's what's happening. Just so you're not like, what's this guy doing? We have the time to kind of watch YouTube and do some research on see what catches fish. So basically, I'm not saying I came up with this. This has been around for some time. Basically, what I'm saying is, with my research of checking things out, these are the things I want to try out. And I'm going to tell you, here I am in New Jersey, cold weather. Do these type of techniques work in my area? The biggest problem that I'm having, and you're probably having this too, when I watch YouTube, I'm being told how to winter fish by a guy who lives in South Carolina. How the heck is he going to know how to fish in my area here in northern New Jersey? Where are the guys from upstate New York? Where are those guys? And I can tell you where they're at. They're at home drinking hot cocoa because all their waters are frozen over. Here in New Jersey, things have been back and forth. We're not getting the ice that we used to get. We have clear water to work with. Unfortunately for us, that means that we have to take some of these southern techniques and apply them here north and see if we can make something happen here. So that's what we're doing. We're taking some of those types of techniques and we're applying them here to a colder weather state here in New Jersey, northern, and seeing if we can make it work. This is called strolling your bait, all right? Sort of a swim bait. Like I said, we're not using that big paddle tail on these. So we're just gonna wiggle that along. Okay, so we've been fishing this style now for a little bit here, probably about 15-20 minutes. We're not getting any hits. Doing a lot of dragging in the weeds. My plan now is to go to the lighter setup and see if that's going to make a difference. Let's take this guy off here. You can see he got a little weed factor in there. And let's switch it up. So that's what we're going to change off. So the other day I was fishing here and I decided to go kind of loud with my bait selection. And I'm kind of wondering if there isn't something to that. So first off, we're going to start off with the smaller setup here. And then I think what we're going to do is when we go to the bigger setup, we're not only going to go big, but we're going to go loud. Big and loud. And I have some bubble gum. That's right, bubble gum. I have some bubble gum. I have some bubble gum fluke here, which I think I'm going to put that on. Same idea with that split tail. And that might be kind of exciting. So we'll try that after we try this first. And then we're going to switch it up to that bubblegum fluke with the larger jig head. Okay, we're going to make our way to a different spot here. There's a spot on this lake that I fished on the boat that has a little bit of a rock bottom. So I'm gonna try to stay away from those weeds a little bit more. This is the new profile that we're gonna be using. It is a high-tech jig head. It's about an 1/8 ounce, and we're using this little swim split tail bait. Our profile is quite a bit changed, so managing the profile may make a difference here. We're a little bit lighter, so let's see. And we're staying with that bicolor bait. We want to stay with that bicolor. This way they can see that shimmy. We're basically shimmy, shimmy, shimmy. Well, we're strolling. It's like we're strolling right now. We're taking a stroll. Well, unfortunately here I got a little bit of a headwind, which is making it miserable cold, but also it's going to be very difficult to get this lure out. Yeah, not bad. It cut through the wind quite well. That wind is cold. Kind of want to stay kind of balled up here a little bit to kind of stay tucked up a little bit to stay warm. This is tough. This spot here, I was not getting the same wind on the dock that I'm feeling here. I don't feel like this section is as weedy further out. We do have the spillway near us here, which might be washing away some of the weed factor. And as I say that, we get weeded up. All right, we're gonna move down a little bit. We'll see if we can get that wood's edge to kind of protect us from some of this wind. The wind is just brutal. It hurts. It actually hurts. Today is basically what they call strolling, and we're trying to basically stroll a non-paddle tail swim bait through the water, trying to give it that little shake. But it is super cold. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to go. Definitely want to try that larger one with the bubble gum, which is basically electric, hot pink. We might have to bring in something a little bit louder. And I was out here fishing the other day with crankbait, and that's just what I did. I went from the more natural colors and I switched to a red crayfish looking crankbait, and wow, really, I think I only put maybe 3 casts in there, and bam, I hit them. I fished it quite a bit after, and I didn't catch anything after that. So even though you might catch a fish with a certain bait, it could be just a one-time thing. Doesn't necessarily mean you're just gonna keep hitting them. So let's we're gonna give this one last shot, and then we're gonna switch it up because I am so cold. I am so cold. The only thing that I think can make me warmer right now is a catch, and that would be nice. I was actually a bit surprised to see somebody here today. It is so cold. The fellow that came down is an older gentleman. He said he was out here for 5 minutes. He was fishing with live worms. 5 minutes, he came back. He's like, nah, too cold. I'm too old for this. I don't blame him. I'm starting to feel kind of old myself, as cold as I am. This was our smaller profile that we had here on a high-tech jig head. We're gonna make that change, and we're gonna go loud. Let's do it loud and proud. Let's go get that bubble gum. Here's what we got, kids. You asked for bubble gum? Well, actually, you didn't ask for bubble gum, but we were getting bubble gum. And I stayed with the white head. And you're probably saying, oh, you didn't use the other one. But I gotta tell you, I think the white looks better, and I'm feeling a little better. I'm feeling it. You know, you want to feel what you're throwing out there. You don't want to just throw it out there because, well, you know, you gotta like what you're throwing. And I think this has nice symmetry. I like the way the white looks on there. So I decided to go with the white jig head. We'll see how it works. If I don't catch anything, I'm certainly not going to be blaming it on the jig head. Cold maybe, blame it on the cold, blame it on the technique, but to blame it on the jig head, not going to happen. I don't even think I'm going to blame it on the fluke. Not ever caught anything on a bubblegum fluke. I don't know if any of you have. If you have, feel free to throw it in there in the comments and say, oh man, I do great on those pink fluke. I have caught quite a few on the white fluke, so I can tell you I've had success there. And I don't mind throwing those at all. I've caught some big fish with those too. So they're a lot of fun to catch fish with. I like that whole basically faking your lure, faking a dying situation there. That always gets them. Okay, get closed up here. Woo. Chilly, chilly. Can you feel my cold? Man, it's cold. Man, oh man, it's cold. All right, let's get the truck closed up here. Stay right there. Stay right there. Stay right there, because once we're out of here, we are beelining it. We are beelining it out of here. Okay. I'm gonna stay on the dock. Oddly enough, this wood's edge here is kind of protecting me from the wind a little bit. So let's get this bubblegum guy thrown out there and see if he can't catch a fish. All right, we're making our way over to the dock. This is what we're gonna fish with. This is not an unusual setup. This is not something that none of us has seen before. The thing that's gonna be different here is the style of fishing it. We're all kind of used to fluke. Now, I don't normally throw my fluke. Usually I throw them open, just on a open hook here. So the technique is definitely going to be different. I don't normally throw them on with a jig, so the jig is going to be different for me. So this technique, we'll see how it works. If they can't see that pink one, we've got blind fish in here. Blind fish. So basically now you're probably thinking, well, hey Kirk, that pink bait is not bicolor. And you're right, it isn't. So the other thing that you can work with is, as I said, we're trying to get that shifty look. We want that bait to flip-flop like this, all right? So if you have any flat-sided baits, the flat-sided baits will still give you that look, not as much as a bicolor bait, but you certainly don't want to use any round baits. Round baits will work against you because you won't see that wobble with a round bait. It's just going to look, well, it's just going to look like it's just moving straight. So here comes our bait now. As we're pulling this through, this is flipping like this. All right, so that's going to give the fish, well, I don't know, maybe it won't. Like I said, this is a new technique for me, and I'm willing to give techniques a shot. And I got you on the chest cam because, like I said, if I don't catch a fish pretty quick, we're hightailing it out of here. Freezing. Well, I think we did all we could do. It is so cold here. And this is some of the struggles, is you're gonna have to be able to handle the cold. And today is one of those days where it's just brutal cold. And the wind is just making it brutal. It's very difficult to fish. My hands are freezing, even through gloves. It's so cold that my batteries won't even stay on. I'm having a tough time trying to keep this GoPro going. The batteries are frozen up even. It's just so damn cold. So anyway, I really appreciate watching. I know we didn't catch a fish. I really tried. Today was one of those tough days. It was just not happening. Just really too cold for this type of fishing. It's a new setup. It's called Strolling. We gave it a shot with 3 different setups. I didn't even get a hit. Today is not the day for it. I'm not saying that it's not a type of fishing that will work, but today it didn't work. Not for this cold weather. The fish just weren't biting. I really appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. No, this one's not a catch. You know, winter fishing is going to be tough. I don't mind putting these videos out of me not really catching fish. I'm really here showing you the technique. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's just really cold today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you on the next one.